Witchers, welcome back to the Witcher Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Robots, and I'm here with my good buddy, Toastie. Toastie, tonight we are finishing up our Season 2 recap with Episode 8, and I know you just watched it again because I saw your comment about how freaking badass this episode is. Are you ready?
Nope.
Are you almost ready?
I should need to clean my glasses, but yes.
Okay,
I'm almost ready.
You're getting there.
I'm seeing little smudges. It's not good. It's very distracting.
Toasty with his ADD or whatever it is you have.
ADHD.
What is some assortment of letters? DLL shipping service. Hey. But welcome everybody back to the Witcher Lorecast. I'm glad you guys are tuning in. This is it. We are finally at the end of Season 2's recaps. We're going to be going over all the interesting details about this episode as Toasty cleans his glasses live on the podcast. Yeah. And for those of you who are tuning in live on the show, it's Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on Twitch and on YouTube, both on the Robots Radio channels for each of those. And you get to watch Toasty clean his glasses as we do this. But I'm sure that's exciting. But you know what is more exciting, Toasty?
Talking about the episode.
Actually talking about The Witcher. But so why don't we just dive right in?
I guess.
Okay. All right. We'll just do the show. Why don't we just do that?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry to roll over things right at the beginning. We were having a hard time starting the episode because we were talking at the beginning of this episode about the reveal that happened at the end of the last episode. So if you tuned out right at the end of the last episode, right after the end credits, there was a little extended section, which you may not have heard, where we realized that one of our patron members upped their donation and pushed us over the $250 limit, which means that Toasty is going to dye his hair. And we were discussing it with our live chat right before the show started. Toasty hasn't been able to do it yet, but we've taken the funds, all the patron money, we've deposited into the bank account. He has money to go buy the dye, the hair dye, the bleach, whatever he needs. And I'm assuming by next week, Toasty, that we're going to see some beautiful, beautiful white locks coming off of that head. He's shrugging. Again, this is wonderful audio content. But you're going to be as handsome as Geralt of Rivia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how it works.
That's exactly how it works. Okay. Anyway, so let's get into the episode. So where do we start?
Okay, cool. So there's like a little Sintra part that I'm just going to go through. I kept most of the other stuff together because most of it's in the same place. I kind of split this up a little differently. We got everything at Kaer Morhen. We got everything in Sintra. And then at the very end, I decided to do a last bit that's just the concluding parts of the episode.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Kind of don't fit into anything else. They get confusing, and so that'll be at the end of both parts. So we'll start with Sintra. Very small little part. We see that Filavandrel and Francesca are still mourning, the death of their child that they had for a day.
As you do, because that's super tragic. Yeah, sure.
Yep. And Dara's kind of telling them about how he was a spy the whole time, and how he guesses that Redania came after them, and how sorry he is for, spying on them, which they don't hold a grudge. He was just trying to survive.
Which is, they're super quick to just be like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. Okay. But Redania sucks.
Yeah. They're 1,000% sure that Redania hates them because they're elves, which to be fair,
but they were true. Super quick to be like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay, Dara. We don't hate your guts. Which, lucky for him, but man, they for being as mournful and spiteful as they feel against people who are out to get them, they definitely didn't have it in for him here.
Yeah. Well, Francesca's by the way, give me some horses because we're out of here. We're done with this. We're not doing this anymore. And then later on, we see Fringilla, who's expressing her concerns about Francesca leaving and what that means. And, she's worried because Francesca's her friend. And Kair's you need to quit acting. You need to throw this friend thing to the side and use this to our advantage and basically take responsibility for the death of the child and say that that was just in your plan to get them to get back to the point of like willing to die for Nilfgaard rather than searching for a reason to live, because that was what they were going to do. They were like, we had a baby, we don't need Nilfgaard anymore.
Right. Take ownership of the opportunity this presents, basically.
Yeah. Which Fringilla is very, there's a lot of F names.
Yes. Yeah. FR too. Yeah.
Fringilla's not like, she's not really great with it, but she realizes that she's also in a ton of trouble. So she's probably just, she's like, all right, whatever. And then there's just a later part. I don't think they're in Sintra anymore. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe like Oxenfurt or something. They went somewhere in Redania probably. And Francesca just straight marks a bunch of babies.
Yeah. My sense here is that they travel all the way north and they decide to start murdering babies. And
yeah,
awesome.
This was like
wonderful,
super dark. Like, holy crap.
I mean, this is like biblical, like, God strikes Egypt kind of dark, Yeah, it was pretty rough. So we're gonna move on to Kaer Morhen, which is the bulk. Like this is the 95% of the episode. Yeah. So we get Ciri waking up in like her old room in Sintra to an angry Mousesack who's telling her how she's late for a knighting ceremony, 20 minutes late, which, I mean, this was kind of weird because we never saw Mousesack like this, like level of like bossing her around, which I guess he would have gotten to this point. I mean, he was like her tutor, basically. So it was, he would have been like this. We just never saw it. So it was really interesting to see him getting all angry with her. Like, yeah. Also, when this moment in the show hit, like immediately, and we've seen moments like this happen before where you're like, okay, she's seeing a vision or a dream or something, right? Because we're seeing characters that we know are dead, whatever. But we're also seeing actors reprising their roles that weren't standard like every episode actors. And from my viewing experience, I'm at this point in this episode, I'm starting to go, okay, well, how many of these other people are we going to see reappear in this episode?
All of them. The answer is all of them.
Yeah. And we just like, as the episode carries on, it like this almost felt like episode, like a season 1 episode, because it's like everybody just starts parading back out.
Yep, we get literally everyone. So
yeah,
and meanwhile, while Ciri's in this kind of like dreamscape, Volethmir is piloting her body around Kaer Morhen. She goes and finds her knife that was kept in the armory, and just starts going around and killing a bunch of witchers in their sleep.
Which is tied back to the stories that we heard about her that Vesemir was telling Ciri in one of the previous episodes about how the Witchers, like it took a group of Witchers in order to contain her. And so you can tell that she's like, this is vengeance for her. She's taking her vengeance on them. And this also from like a meta perspective explains why they wrote in so many other Witchers into the story.
That's true.
Because she wouldn't have been able to take vengeance on a group of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 Witchers. There wouldn't have been enough people to kill.
Yeah. Which this is also to her advantage, which we'll get more into later. We see Geralt and Yennefer galloping back. Geralt's just like basically ignoring her, and she's like yelling after him.
This is the biggest disconnect into the travel portion of the show. Like this is one of the most highly contested like teleportation moments without actual teleportation. Is this whole like they just got on horses in Sintra and now all of a sudden they're in Kaer Morhen, and she was yelling at him for the entire trip. Like
yeah, basically
like, that trip would have taken a month on horseback, but they argued the whole way. And
no, she just yelled after him and he ignored her the
entire time. And yet somehow they arrived, just like an hour later. Like what?
They didn't camp either. There was nothing.
There was nothing. There was no, yeah. And like they could have done, there were so many ways they could have explained this in another way. Like, could have had somebody show up and teleport them over there or something, but they just didn't. And it's, did they think nobody would notice? Like, what's the deal? Like, this, I don't know. It's such a silly thing not to have explained out in some other way,
Yeah, no.
But whatever.
Suspend your disbelief, Tom. That's what they want you to do.
Yeah.
Anyways, Yin's trying to explain, why she did what she did. Maybe for like the 80th time, given the fact that she was yelling the whole way
over and over again.
And Geralt won't hear it for the 80th time, probably. And he doesn't trust her anymore because, she was about to like basically sacrifice Ciri, so he's not cool with that.
Yeah. Take your hands off my kid.
And like I said, Volodymyr is parading around in Ciri, just like murdering Witchers in their sleep. She's about to get Vesemir when Geralt shows up and interrupts her and figures out that that's not Ciri. So they all kind of prepare for battle. Or she cuts Geralt in the face and runs off. And so they kind of have to prepare to fight her, and they got to go find her. Vesemir is very upset about, I think Gawain, and I can't remember the other two's name, to be honest. They were mentioned for the first time in this episode, so they're really not important. I only remember Gawain because it's an Easter egg. That's the only reason. Right. And he's basically willing to do whatever it takes to get revenge for this, even killing Ciri. And Geralt's like, hey, we don't want to kill Ciri. She's important and we all care about her. We need to get Volodymyr out of her body so that she can be corporeal and we can trap her again, essentially. Which Vesemir is kind of like, he's still not like 100% on board. We'll save the stuff for the discussion afterwards. Okay. How about
we'll come back to that.
Because I know you got opinions.
Sure.
And so Yin overhears this conversation, goes to get Jaskier to get his help. Basically, Yin wants to make like a potion because she doesn't have any magic, so she's got to figure out how to make a potion to fix this. And this whole time, Jaskier is not taking this stuff seriously, which is, she's like, I need Jasper, I need Golden Oriole, and he's like, Areola, I'm pretty sure that has to do with nipples. And I was like, Jaskier,
yeah.
This is a serious situation. Ciri's possessed by a damn demon, essentially. Can we focus? Can we focus here? Which Yin, kind of, loses it for a moment and, reveals how important it is for her to get Ciri back because she's the one that got her into this mess. So Jaskier finally starts taking things seriously. Back in the dreamscape, Ciri's back in Centro with all of her loved ones. You got Mousak, Calanthe, random ass Martin that we saw in episode 1.
Right.
We're gonna see him again.
Right.
This dude reprised his role as the dude that asked her for a dance, and that is it.
Right. Can you imagine being that actor and getting that call, being like, "Hey, this is we're in the production team for the Witcher show." Oh yeah. Wait. You want me to come back and reprise the same role?
What am I doing? Am I doing something different? No, we want you to do exactly the same thing you did last time.
Wait, the same scene? Yeah, but this time,
Ciri's have different clothes, but
right. Ciri's excited to dance with you this time, and you're actually going to dance a little bit. Oh, okay, sure.
We'll pay you. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sure.
Fine. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks.
It's such a weird thing.
Yeah, it's only going to be like 1 or 2 days on set.
Not even a different. You're not even doing like, at least Mousak is doing a different like scene. Like you have to be angry Mousak. This dude is playing the same role
right.
always. And so, yeah, Martin comes in. He asks her for a dance. She's excited because obviously Ciri's very happy to see Calanthe back alive, Mousesack back alive, to be back in Citra, because she still thinks this is all real. Right. And that she she had like a bad dream or something.
Right. To feel like in a safe place with people who love her is just all of a sudden so nice compared to what she's been through. And one of the things that I thought was really funny was that Calanthe looks suspicious of Ciri's good mood, but this is her dreamscape. So it's like, what? Wait, why are you suspicious? Like, right. There's a lot of personality in this dreamscape. Yeah, because the real Calanthe would respond to Ciri being odd, because that's not how Ciri would normally react in that situation.
Voleth Mir pulling out all the stops.
Man.
Which is, I just thought that was a funny detail. The Witchers go looking for her. Geralt finds her at the medallion tree, and then they kind of all converge and they're ready to like fight. And then Ciri or Voleth Mir in Ciri's body does a scream and like splits the medallion tree in half to reveal that there's a monolith inside it, which is like, surprise. Oh no, that's not good. And so then she uses another scream to like shatter the monolith, shred them with a bunch of chunks, and then open a portal for a couple of basilisks to come through, but not normal basilisks, because the witches don't recognize what kind of, they're basilisks, but they're very different.
Right.
So they're all fighting, and Geralt has Vesemir and other guy basically use Erden to trap her so that he can try and get through to Ciri, who's somewhere deep in the subconscious. Meanwhile, the other witchers are getting absolutely wrecked by these basilisks, which isn't, it's not great, but there's some cool sword fighting going on here too. Like the super acrobatic. I'm pretty sure this dude was like Asian. Like that dude was cool. He still dies, but he was cool.
He had some cool moments. I kind of was hoping he would survive, but no. Poor guy.
I was kind of hoping maybe more than just Lambert Cohen and guy with an axe. I can't remember his name either. It's real bad. Anyways, so
this is the podcast you come to when you want to know all the names of all the Witchers on the show.
I gotta be honest, they didn't think that the names of those Witchers were important, so neither did I.
They really didn't make them a point to really point out the names, and so they're just not important. Sorry.
And I put a note here that just says Geralt is so cool, because I just want to point out how cool it's, because one, when she shreds through them with the chunks of the monolith, she sends them forward through them, which most of them defend with Quinn, and then comes back through to where most of them turn around to defend with Quinn. Meanwhile, Geralt just holds his sword behind him and uses Quinn, which I thought was sick.
So it's almost like walking away from an explosion without looking.
Yeah, and then Vesemir comes up and attack Ciri during this situation while he's trying to get through to her, and he's not even looking; he's just blocking the attacks. And it was just this is so cool. I'm sorry, he's just dead on Ciri, and he's just over here behind him, and it's
right.
It's so good.
So much about this. This entire scene shows that Geralt is just a level above the other Witchers. He just responds in ways that the others don't. He anticipates things in ways the others don't. He figures things out faster than they do. And then even taking on the basilisks, Like, they're struggling in pairs to fight off these other basilisks. And you've mentioned it on the show before. The one that comes after him, he basically disembowels and tosses off the bridge like it was nothing.
In a matter of a few seconds.
Right.
It's really not much. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's those extra mutagens, bro. Like,
yeah. And I mean, the dude's got a lot of experience at this point. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Vesemir should have more experience, and he still gets messed up too.
It's true. But he's also kind of getting old at this point.
He's older. It's yeah. Well, also, like, Lambert and Cohen should the same amount of experience too.
Sure, but it is those extra mutagens. Like, he is more, and we've talked about this before. He's heightened.
He's more advanced. He's an advanced specimen.
He is, right.
I'm talking about Geralt, not just Henry Cavill. Okay,
both of them.
Both of them are advanced specimens. Right. Anyways, so we're back in the dreamscape. Ciri is using this opportunity to try and learn more about the Elder Blood from Mousak, asking about, like, her blood and you know, what's associated with it, which she doesn't get a whole lot of answers. Just you know, that she descends from a long line of, like, very powerful women with powers.
Very powerful women.
Yes, it's trying to figure out a way to say that.
Very powerful women.
It was weird. Potent
women.
Yeah. Anyways, Geralt's voice is starting to, like, cut into the dream sequence. So Volodymyr, like, doubles down. This is what I assume is her doubling down, because she introduces Ciri's parents into this.
Yeah.
To try and, like, get that, like, lock on Ciri, which for now it works, because she's just like, oh my God, my parents are alive. There's my dad, who, that's my dad, and then there's my mom with the really bad wig. I don't.
You're right. Sure.
The wig job, not great. Anyways, meanwhile, Volodymyr, she summons it's called the Big Bad Basilisk. It's supposed to be stronger and more powerful than the other basilisks. Also, it's, you know how you know this? You know how you know this information, that it's stronger and more powerful?
Because one, video game logic.
There's a stomp, and it shakes the water, kind of like anytime the Tyrannosaurus Rex showed up in Jurassic Park. You know?
Right.
But also, it's white.
Right, like video game logic.
It's a different color than the other ones.
It's a different color.
It's like an albino, like in Fallout.
Right.
Like Fallout 4, the albino stuff was always more potent than the other ones.
Yeah.
Which, whatever.
It's probably a little bit bigger too, but like video game logic, you know, like the one that shows up as a different color, you know, is going to be harder than the other ones.
This is the one in The Witcher 3 where you, like, it has like a full health bar rather than the other ones that just have like the regular health bars.
Right.
You know, that's what this is. You did a quest to beat this one. Anyways, Geralt just absolutely bodies it, and whatever. It's nothing. It's really nothing. He blasts it in the face of Igni, cuts its face in half, and knocks it off the bridge. It's like, okay,
just boom,
sure.
Done. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Vesemir, unimpeded by Geralt's blade that he can move at will without looking, just stabs Ciri. Geralt rushes in to, like, stop him from stabbing Ciri again. But it really doesn't matter, because it, like, she just heals it. She just heals it over. Not a big deal. We don't care about stabbing here. But she kind of lets drop, like, the biggest flaw for her in this situation, because she reveals essentially that she's feeding off of the hate that the Witchers have right now, because she's like feeding off the pain that Francesca has. And the pain that Francesca is inflicting by killing all these babies, and, like, their mothers are in extreme pain from that too.
Sure.
And then she's feeding off the hate that the Witchers are feeling for this, and their pain from the ones that are, like, dying and suffering here.
Yeah. Like Palpatine, she's like, give in to your hate.
Yeah.
And your journey to the dark side shall be complete.
Yeah. And Geralt's like, oh, so that's what you're doing. I have a solution. Let's not hate.
And he was like, here's a hug. I love you.
Yeah.
He's like, everybody, it's cuddle puddle time.
Yeah. So he basically they all kind of gather up and like are offering their support to Ciri, which is starting to kind of shake the cage a bit. And Volithmir is trying to use Ciri's parents to like convince her to stay kind of like locked away in her mind. And then Yin like cuts herself open and offers herself as the vessel, because they realize that Volithmir needs a vessel in order to stay in the sphere. So Yin's kind of starts in her. You just see that her magic back, because she starts whispering like an incantation and is like sucking Volithmir out of Ciri. So her magic's back, which is cool.
Yeah, self-sacrificial moment. Wonderful moment of like redemption.
Yes,
for her messing up.
Right.
Nice
so
move,
she does
Yen.
that.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, in the dream sequence, all of the major loved ones are starting to fade away. To which I point out a small little detail here. Yeah. That like Calanthe, Mousak, and Pavetta all fade away, but Dooney does not.
Right. Symbolic.
Yes, this suggests something, which I noticed that I was like, that's clever. That's clever. I wonder what people are going to think about that if they notice it. I knew, obviously. But
obviously, you knew, Toastie.
That's my job, right?
That's your job. That's your job.
So she finally, basically says like, I got to go home. And manages to pull herself out of the dream sequence. And then she wakes up. Geralt's or the transfer is like fully complete, but it's not like Volithmir hasn't taken control of Yennefer yet. She managed to kind of like hold her back. So Geralt tells Ciri like, open up a portal so that we can like get Volithmir out of here. Which Ciri does. Opens up a portal super quick. The Yen, Geralt, and Ciri get sucked into it and into this like desolate desert wasteland. It's just terrifying. And then
it's like a hellscape kind of thing.
Basically, which really helps to emphasize this next part when Volithmir pulls herself from Yennefer and then manifests as a member of the Wild Hunt.
Yeah.
And hey, the Wild Hunt's here.
Wild Hunt? What?
Sorry, I'm getting pinged.
The Wild Hunt is visiting you.
The wild. Oh, dear God, I gotta go.
Oh God,
I need to run.
I think you said their name too many times. You've conjured them.
Apparently. But yeah, it's the Wild Hunt.
Oh, don't keep saying the name. Stop.
The Wraiths of Morgog.
Okay.
Can I go with that?
Yeah. Just don't say that 2 more times.
Yeah, and they want Ciri to join up.
They're like
they want.
Come on adventure with us. We'll give you a cool horse that floats in the sky.
Come to the dark side. We have free cookies.
Yeah.
No. It's very creepy. There's like speaking in this like ghostly, raspy voice.
Yeah.
Child of the Elder Blood, starry-eyed daughter of chaos. Join us. And it's like, oh dear.
Yeah, singing the songs of my people. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, we're just like, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. We don't want this. And so Ciri teleports them back just in time. Terrifying. And then Yen goes around healing. She heals Cohen. Her magic's back, obviously. I like the little bit of banter that Ciri has with Lambert, because she tells him that he's breathing like a dying mammoth, which is what he told her back when she was on the pendulum, which was great. And then Vesemir's like trying to apologize for what he did, and Geralt's like, don't worry about it. Also, we got to go because the wraiths of Morgog. I'm only gonna say it one more time.
We just say WH. The WH.
WH.
The double H.
And then this last bit is like kind of like all these concluding bits where everyone's having like their big revelations and stuff.
Hey, why don't we save that for after the mid?
Okay, sure.
We'll do the mid break and thank our patrons because they're so awesome. All right, so we'll be right back. Don't say WH one more time. We'll be right back.
Very well. Let us get this over with. Something has infested my vineyard.
Mm-hmm. Great. Let me go prepare my something oil then.
Wild Hunt.
No! I knew you were going to do it. You're going to conjure them.
I had to.
We're here in the middle of the show where we get to thank our patrons, including Sean F. or Blixa the Cat, who is our newest patron. Welcome to the Patreon. Thank you for signing up.
Cyberpunk with them.
That's awesome. And man, you guys are awesome because of our patrons, Toastie's going to dye his hair.
Yep.
Because we hit our goal. Yep. So you guys are awesome. And thank you to especially our higher vampire tier 5 patrons, Ben of Temeria and Bane the Hospitaller. I think I said it right that time.
I don't think that's the correct way to say it. But
Hospitaller.
I'm gonna let him have it.
Hospitaller? No, definitely not that one. Hospitaller. Hospitaller. How about that one? Probably none of those. Anyway, thanks for everybody who helped support the show, all 13 of you. And if you have enjoyed the show, if we've helped you with your commute to work, getting through your work, working out, or
your first encounter with the Wild Hunt,
oh God, he said it again. Or hanging out with the WH, then go to patreon.com/Witcher Lorecast and check out all the different tiers, including the first tier where you get ad-free episodes, or the fourth tier where you get to join us on future episodes of the show and you get t-shirts, or the third tier where you get stickers, or any of the other tiers where you get all sorts of other stuff. Go check it out. And
were you intending to say the names of the tiers and then you forgot?
No, I was just calling them by number.
Okay.
Because it helps people understand that there's different ones. I just, words just don't form my head very quickly because I'm on medication for migraines and it makes my brain slow. So, but anyway, this, your patron support helps fund the show and also helps pay for my migraine medication. So we really do appreciate it because this is my career and this is part of Toastie's extra stuff he does aside from his job. And, it keeps the show going. So we really appreciate it. Also, we don't have any new reviews or ratings, or at least reviews to read out this week, but we probably got some new ratings in. But if you listen on Apple Podcasts and want to drop us a 5-star review with some words, we'll read out your review on a future show. And if you listen on Spotify, a 5-star rating would be super duper welcome. It really does help us make sure that other people are able to check out the show and find that it's probably something they want to listen to because you put some good words in there and let people know what it's about. And they're more likely to trust your words than ours because we do the show. But if you like the show and listen to it, then, it's a whole lot better to coming from you guys. Anyway, this is the end of the middle of the show. Let's get back with the rest of it. Here we go.
You smell of death and destiny, heroics and heartbreak.
It's onion.
Right, yeah.
Rob says, I think Tom's face really pulled that all together when he said the patrons help pay for his meds. I mean, it's true. It's true. I don't get little known, or actually well-known fact, when you are self-employed, you don't get health insurance. Wonderful system we have here in the U.S. I mean, I am on my wife's health insurance plan, so no fear with that. But yes, you guys do help support me in a lot of ways, so thank you very much. Toastie, let's talk about the conclusion bits.
Conclusion bits, yeah. So, yeah, like I said, this is the kind of the stuff that happens at the end of the episode where it's like, it's the stuff they do at the end of a season. Like, if you've watched a TV show before, you know what we're talking about.
Right.
So first off, we got Tisea spilling all the beans about Ciri to the kings and queens of the northern kingdoms, which is cool because we get to, except for Vizimir He's not there. He not there. So the other ones, we get to meet Queen Meave, which is cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
She's gonna come in at a very she's gonna have a very funny role to play in the future, which I appreciate. It's funny when we get to that part. But basically, Ciri's enemy number one. They want to kill her.
Yeah. So we're getting a little bit of foreshadowing with some of that stuff. So that's fun.
Yeah,
fun stuff.
And then we got Ryance and Lydia meeting with what I assume is the boss, because Lydia refers to them as my lord. And Lydia this is the first time we're seeing Lydia since she like inhaled Ciri's like blood mutagen, and damn, she is ugly.
Yeah, so both of them are now
messed. She's like ghoulish. Yeah, she's like she looks half dead.
Oh yeah, like he's got burn face, but she's like, bleh. Yeah,
she's it's rough. So and then Istrid coming back in, and he finds the elves, like Francesca and Philovangel's group, and tells them about Ciri being Elder Blood. And how she's the one that was prophesied in Ithleen's prophecy. It's like, so now everybody's like, elves want them. This is basically everyone realizing that they want Ciri for whatever reason.
Yeah, so, this is. I think the whole point here is that like end of season 2, moving into season 3, everybody knows everything about Ciri. No surprises anymore.
Everybody wants her for some other reason. The Northern Kingdoms want to kill her. The elves want to save her, maybe worship her. I don't know. And then we got the owl who heard this conversation, this reveal that Istrid did for the elves, and returns to Dijkstra to tell him, that, hey, everyone knows about Ciri now, by the way. And then transforms into a human. Totally didn't see that coming. Who would have thought that owl was more than it would appear?
I mean, they're just owls in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
most of the time.
But this one's not. This one's Philip Eilhart.
Yeah, this one's a lady.
Yeah,
a lady sorceress.
Lady sorcerer.
A powerful.
That's redundant.
A lady, magic lady.
Fair enough.
A powerful one.
And then we come back to Kaer Morhen. Yin's basically like asking for forgiveness. Yet again, Geralt doesn't want to forgive her. He can't. He can't yet because she endangered his child, and he's not cool with that.
Yeah, he's a grumpy dad.
He wants her to train his child.
Right.
So he has to at least like kind of trust her a little bit still. Her show of her self-sacrifice was a good first step. And then he talks about how Villa Tritinmirth said like how they were kind of their love was like destined for each other, but like they needed something more, or it was doomed to fail, and that Ciri is that something more. So they're like, and then they kind of join Ciri on the bridge, and there's this like nice, like they're a family now.
Yeah, I liked when they all joined hands and then skipped, in front of the rainbow through the field, and then sat down at the picnic table, and then like opened up the basket and passed around the sandwiches.
That never happens in the Witcher universe. It's not allowed.
Oh yeah. I was thinking about something different. That was the Hallmark movie I watched because my father-in-law really
There's always picnic tables in Hallmark
movies.
Yeah,
that's a true story.
But
we did have a conversation a few weeks ago where he talked about how much he loves Hallmark movies.
That's uncomfortable. Anyways,
it was super uncomfortable.
I believe it. Anyways, Geralt's kind of like this is us being told things, but it's like Geralt's like, hey, I just thought of these things, but it's them telling us information essentially. And that Volethmir was just using Ciri so that she could get home, because she didn't belong to the sphere. She belonged to a different sphere, and she wanted to leave. And so Ciri was the key to leaving. So she did. And then he wonders about why Nilfgaard knew about Ciri before everyone else. And as if they wanted to just directly answer this question, we find that out in the next scene where Emir has shown up to Sintra. Fragilla and Kair are explaining, what they did, their plan to get Francesca, motivated. So which Emir is like, hey, shut up. I'm the one who ordered the death of the baby, just so you know, because this is the best way I can find my daughter. Sup, Emperor Dad.
Dun, dun, dun. Which
was like a huge reveal for anyone that doesn't know anything about The Witcher. But for anyone else, we're
right.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, straight up, if you've played the games, you're like, yeah, that tracks.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was the last thing. That was the big reveal. It was cool. It was a good episode. Tom, what do you rate it?
Oh, are we rating or are we discussing?
We're gonna rate this.
We got to discuss first before we can rate.
Got to discuss. Okay, cool. Yeah, we got to get to your controversy.
Well, I mean, I don't have a ton of controversy on this one. I mean, I already noted. Well, I already noted. Okay, so I already noted the whole travel thing. That's like that, and these aren't necessarily my controversial things. I'm just noting. I want to hang a lantern on some of the things that the fan base has called out. That the fan base is like, this part could have been done better, guys. What are we doing here? Because my hope is with season 3 that when you have an issue of like traveling from Sintra to Kaer Morhen and they hop on a horse and they show up an hour later and they're still arguing, that's like, they don't think anyone's going to notice this as like, this is a problem. Like, come on, you can do better than this. Like, they could have written a better reason for them traveling that distance, right?
Hey, look, the pocket dimension that Volethmir was in was just like an hour away from Kaer Morhen. No big.
I mean, like, they could have written it in. Like, they could have had Volethmir like mess with them and send them through some sort of portal that they were able to figure their way out of or something, and like just kind of.
I mean, they got like bapped into the little like woods area that her hut was in, which was underneath a temple, which doesn't make any sense. So like weird magic stuff.
They could have had weird magic stuff that connected to the thing in the tree.
Was nice enough to bring their horses along,
or they could have. Here's what you could have done. They could have had like weird magic. So like she could have sucked them into some sort of like the realm that she was in, the hut, and they could have found like some exit portal that was tied directly to her that sucked them back to her actual location, which was in Kaer Morhen or something like that. They could have come up with some magic-y reason that transported them, 1,000 miles, but they didn't. They just had them hop on horses and travel faster than the speed of light, like.
So this is like a weird thing for me. Like, one, what happened to the dwarves? Because they were with.
That's right. Like the dwarves are just like, we did our jobs.
They just left.
And they're just like, we'll just keep on beating up the Cintran military. Like what?
What point did they leave them? Because like she didn't kill Jaskier, who was also with her.
Right. And he wasn't on horseback when they came into the place.
Yeah, he would have been with the dwarves. So I guess they would have had to been there the whole way, which
yeah. So like weird stuff like that. Just obviously it's not the focus of the main thrust of the like interesting bits of the episode. So they're not going to take the time to really explain it. But you don't have to leave a weird plot hole, especially one that's so obvious about travel. Like that you can just explain that. And they've done good jobs. And this is the other weird part is they've done good jobs on other parts of the episodes this season actually explaining travel at times, like Geralt all of a sudden appearing in the library where what's his face is doing research, because he jumped through a portal that Triss made. You know, like that explains how he traveled really far distance, and he doesn't like, and we got a glimpse about him not liking traveling in portals, right? Like, that's great. That, like, you know, maybe somehow Triss knew that they needed help and magicked up a portal for them to travel back to wherever. You know, like, you could have come up with something. Instead, they just had them hop on a horse. But I don't want to keep beating this dead horse. But that's just one of them. Too soon. Yeah, man, we did just have a dead horse in the last episode. Let's see. Anything else about the? I don't really have that many other complaints on this one, other than just the convenience.
I know there was like some big stuff about like Vesemir's behavior in this
Vesemir's
episode.
he's kind of a little grumpy, and he should just know a little bit more about what's going on and not be such a curmudgeon.
He's very wishy-washy.
I feel like
he's
because
like, I want to kill Ciri, and then he's like, all right, let's save her, and then he's like, I want to kill Ciri, and then he's like, all right, let's save her.
There is that.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, and I also feel like for being as wise as he is, in the moments where they need him to be wise, he doesn't seem to be the person that they can rely on. It's always Geralt. And I get that. Like, Geralt's the hero, but
he's the protagonist.
He's the protagonist, but there are moments, especially in the games, the Geralt that we know from The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3 looks up to Vesemir not just as a father, but as a guide and as a moral compass, and even as somebody who in the thick of it, he would rely on. Oftentimes he would go with Vesemir's gut reaction on something before his own. That's the feeling I get from playing the games. And it's the opposite here. And that strikes me as odd. But I don't know. You've got more experience with the books than I do. Does that?
He doesn't exist.
Yeah. So like
he's like says like a few words in one book. Otherwise, he's not important. So
right. So, but for being somebody who's been around for so long and has trained so many Witchers and has so much experience, I want Vesemir to be the kind of character that Geralt, even with as much experience as he has, can still look up to him as being even wiser than Geralt is. But he just, in the show, he just doesn't come across that way. And maybe that's just a personal preference thing. I don't know. He seems to be just kind of a guy who's done his best to raise a bunch of kids who are just these, you know, wild and woolly Witchers. And he doesn't always make the best choices. And I mean, he's kind of just like a biker dad. It's kind of who he is on the show.
He looks like a biker dad.
He looks like a biker dad. And that's okay. I mean, if that's who he has to be on the show, that's fine. Geralt's the protagonist. Geralt's gut is always going to be the best guide on the show. That's fine. So that's okay. The other thing, my other complaints about this episode is that there are a whole lot of just like conveniences. Like, it's the Witcher, the tree with the medallions, a really cool thing. The fact that there's like a monolith inside the tree, really convenient. Like,
it was like a hefty monolith. Like this tree is like hollow, essentially.
Right.
Like it does. There was hardly any room for like actual bark. And how did it? It's like a weird. Like, how did it grow?
Right. Like, was this something? If the monoliths themselves, and we're digging back into lore stuff here, if the monoliths themselves were constructed and then the tree was grown around the monolith by like elves, or like, how was that a thing? And then why was the fortress built around the tree? Like, how does any of that make sense? Like, there seems to be a lot there that's just kind of, I don't know. It's fantastical for no reason other than it's convenient to the story.
And this is just me spitballing because they didn't explain it at all, to be honest. But because like we know Volithmir was trapped by like the older Witchers, like the past Witchers,
right?
assuming before Vesemir's time because he doesn't have any clue. So
Right.
we'll just have to pretend like he's not like.
It seems like he's telling stories that were passed down to him.
Yeah. So like then before, like, did Volethmir go after this monolith the last time and they were able to trap her before she could do anything? Probably because she probably wouldn't have been in possession of a child of the Elder Blood, so wouldn't have been able to like do the stuff she did with Ciri. But like if she went after it and they were like, oh, that's real bad, they trapped her and they're like, well, we need to defend this monolith, but also we need to like conceal it so that no one else knows about it. And they were like, they like grew a tree around it somehow.
Yeah.
I don't really understand how a tree could be grown around that, but whatever. And then they like built Kaer Morhen or something, but like that wouldn't make sense because like the Wolf Witchers found Kaer Morhen.
Right. They didn't
like
build Kaer Morhen.
weird.
They just kind of like took it when it was
Like,
no longer
maybe
being
then
used.
they somehow figured out a way to grow the tree after they, but like that would mean that like Kaer Morhen was built around this monolith. So it's like real weird how like the context plays out. Hopefully they explain it.
I don't think they will. I think it's just going to be
They
one of those
probably
things they
won't,
just leave and
which
then just going to
granted,
be
if
like,
they tried to
this is kind of
explain it,
thing.
it probably wouldn't make any sense anyways.
Right.
So,
Right.
but it's just like, there's a tree around a monolith with Kaer Morhen around it. A lot of coincidences here.
Yeah. I feel like it would have made more sense if they had hinted at monoliths in other places, because it's not like they don't have a character on the show who's been studying the monoliths. Like they could have dropped little bits of dialogue where he says things like, during my studies, I've found monoliths in the most unlikely of places. Some have been at the top of some mountains. Some have been inside vegetation. Some have been, like he could have said a line like that as if they've been placed there for a reason, or things have been grown around them.
Stuff was built around them because like we know that happened in Sintra. I mean, the damn palace is like along a giant monolith.
Right.
So like people obviously wanted to build places around it.
But so they could have foreshadowed it using a character who's been studying the monoliths, and he could have simply listed out like they've been buried in caves. We've had structures, we've had palaces built around them. We've had fortifications built. In fact, I've even found monoliths that have had gardens and plants built around them or grown around them. All of a sudden we'd go, oh, that's really interesting. Monoliths in strange places, including nature. Weird. And then all of a sudden, a tree inside a tree. Oh, well, okay. They've been in other places with plants and things. Oh, inside a tree. Well, that makes sense. Like all of a sudden, that would have clued us into like, and maybe somebody who was paying enough attention would have been like, oh, I wonder if there's one inside the tree in Kaer Morhen. Okay, now we've got some other reasons. Plus, now we have deeper lore that somebody else has been studying to say like, oh, there has been actually historically been reasons why they've been constructing things around the monoliths, right?
It would have made Istrid's obsession with monoliths a lot more worthwhile.
It totally would have. It totally would have.
He was super obsessed with monoliths and then provided zero answers for them.
Right. But and that would have taken just like 2 lines of dialogue for him to be like, this is super weird. And I've noticed a trend, and this trend goes back in time to the conjunction of the spheres. And I don't know why there's this trend with some of these ancient peoples of constructing and growing things around monoliths, but I want to find out what the reason is. And maybe that's because they were trying to protect them or trying to use nature to dampen the magic or something. Maybe nature itself helps dampen the magic. That could be a reason for growing a tree around it. You and I've had a conversation here for like just 10 minutes right now, just talking about this. And I just came up with some sort of like just magicked up a reason. Like nature itself can dampen the magic from another realm because it's tied to this realm because of just the fact that it's nature, who knows? But like maybe the ancient races figured that out. And so they built gardens and trees around the monoliths. And over time, many of those gardens and trees went away because they're actual living things that died and went away. Right. But in the case of Kaer Morhen, it was inside, a big old tree inside a fortification. And so it didn't go away. Now you've got a reason. Now you've got a reason why it's still freaking there, and it totally makes sense. And now it doesn't feel weird at the end of the episode.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Yeah. I just wanted to put a small note. I appreciate the title sequence. They really go in on these title sequences for the season finales, because like season 1 was like all 3 of their symbols, or all the symbols of all the episodes brought together to kind of form the symbol of like Geralt's, Yennefer, and Ciri together. Yeah. And then this one was forming the tree out of like the conjunction of the spheres. They had like a whole conjunction of the spheres, like title sequence, which was super cool. It's interesting. And I guess last thing we talk about is some more Voleth Mir stuff. Mm-hmm. Voleth Mir, member of the Wild Hunt.
Yes, and I think that this. Well, you say what you're going to say, and then I'm going to add something.
I was just going to say, like, I don't think most people saw that coming.
Yeah. Also, unless you've just been watching the Netflix series, or if you've only played a little bit of the games, like you haven't finished The Witcher 3, the composition of the Wild Hunt might still be a mystery. So this idea that the Wild Hunt isn't just like this nameless group of like ghouls or magic-y beings, the fact that like there are actual members of the Wild Hunt and they're individuals is a really cool thing. And something that once that was revealed to me, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like Voleth Mir is an individual, like an evil spirit, but an individual, right? And so there are other members of the Wild Hunt, and who and what they are is also interesting. So I think that is important. And I don't want to be too negative on this episode, because I think there are a lot of good things about this episode. This episode is super exciting. There's a lot of cool stuff. It wraps up a lot of threads that they've run throughout this season. And for as many weird little problems that I've brought up on this episode, they did a very good job of threading a lot of these concepts through the elf child, the issues with Ciri, the Voleth Mir stuff, Geralt and Yen, all of that, the Witchers, all of that stuff has threaded through and come to a conclusion here. And especially Voleth Mir and the Wild Hunt, and giving us an introduction to that. And the Wild Hunt, you can tell at this part in season 2, is going to be the big bad, I believe, for the entire show. I think we're going to get other members of the Wild Hunt throughout each of the seasons. And eventually we're going to get a culmination where the Wild Hunt manifests and they're going to have to deal with all of them and the end of the world scenario. At least that's my expectation for the end, for the end of the entire show.
I think we just found our topic for next week.
The Wild Hunt?
I think so.
You think we're gonna it's really spoilery for anybody watching this show, but we could do it.
I feel like a lot of people are asking, like, what is the significance of this thing? I feel like a lot of people are like, what is this? You know, it's obviously they've been teasing it all season, mm-hmm. right? Because they've talked about it in episode 1, like seeing them go across the sky. And so they've been talking about them, and we finally get to see the manifestation of them. Yeah. And also the big bad for the season is a member of them. Right. I feel like people have questions, and you know what?
Well, we could do an overview, and then we could leave some of the specifics of the individual.
There's a lot of specifics. Members. Like we'd need multiple episodes to talk about the Wild Hunt. So
maybe we do kind of an overview episode. Sure. That sounds good.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but it's exciting. And I think if they learn from some of the mistakes from this season for next season, and they continue to pull things a little bit back closer to where the books were, I think that next season could be even better, but overall, I think it was a good season.
I mean, based on what they went from like season 1 to like season 2, like my hand's above That's the difference. I feel like you can see my season 1 hand.
Season 1 hand is that like his jaw, and season 2 hand is like way above his head.
You can't see it.
You can't see it. It's off the camera.
Screen.
It's like it's in.
That's how good it was.
Right.
You know?
Like because it's off the camera, it could be through the roof. You don't know. You don't know how far his arm reaches because it's off the camera. It's out of.
I do have long arms. I have very long arms.
It could be in space. It could be through a portal. You don't know.
Yeah, I definitely have a monolith portal right here.
Right there. So his hand is now
off screen
in the Wild Hunt dimension.
Yep.
So far away.
I like how many times you said Wild Hunt.
I'm trying to conjure them to say it to you now.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Like, Wild Hunt, please come on our podcast.
Can you guest on our podcast, Volithmir?
Yes,
we've got some
really
questions
great.
About this season.
Yeah, it would be really good.
Well, guys, I think that does it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be back to some more deeper lore episodes. It looks like we'll be starting with the Wild Hunt next week, and of course, at the end of March, we will be chatting with our patrons again. So thanks for being here. Toastie, you got anything cool going on? Anything you want to share? Or ways people can reach out?
Follow us at the Witcher Lorecast on Twitter. I guess if you have any specific questions, I'm not going to promise to answer your questions. But if you have any specific questions related to the Wild Hunt, put them in the Discord. If they go like too much in detail, then we'll probably have to wait since we're going to try and do like an overview. But I would like to answer some of the questions you have if I can. But like I said, if it requires too much detail that we're not ready to jump into just yet, it may not get answered. So just keep that in mind.
But we might just say like, we're not going to spoil that yet.
We'll bookmark them for later. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But like, it may not get answered in the next episode.
But we'll get to it eventually for sure. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I've got my shows. I just launched the Lord of the Rings Lorecast just a little over a week ago. I just dropped the second episode today as we're recording this on Monday, the 7th. So if you're into the Lord of the Rings and you like these Lorecast style shows and you like my style of content, then whatever podcatcher you're listening to this on, you can go ahead and just look up Lord of the Rings Lorecast and go ahead and bookmark that or just subscribe to it. It's free. So just go ahead and listen to it. And 2 episodes diving deep into the lore of the Lord of the Rings, starting with the creation of Tolkien's Middle Earth and the world of everything that he's created. And we're just going to go into all the content from the beginning of time onward to teach you all about everything that he's done. So go check that out. Also, I am continuing to raise money for Ukraine because that whole situation absolutely sucks because nobody should be attacking anybody's land and trying to kill and murder people. So this started out as
illegal military things.
Yeah, no, the whole thing.
Vacuum bombs are terrible. What the hell?
Yeah, Putin just needs to chill the F out. Anyway, so I'm raising money for medical supplies for people in need who are defending their homeland from invaders. So this started out as I was like, maybe the community can raise $100 and I'll match that first $100. And now we've raised $529. So the next goal is 600. Holy crap. Amazing. Thank you to all of the community. And there is a link in the show notes. Also live chat. There is a link in the live chat. So if you're watching this live, you can donate on there. And if you're checking this out later on, just look in the show notes, or you can log on to the Robots Radio Discord under the announcement channel. There is a link in that channel as well. And you just have to click the link and then and you can just, help support. So here, I'm just going to repost it in the live chat for you guys. And please and thank you for everybody willing to support. I'm sure, going without a coffee for a little bit in order to buy something to help save somebody's life and, keep them from bleeding out would be extremely worth it. So thank you to everyone. This has really been a huge benefit to a lot of people, but even just personally to me, because I felt super, super bummed out about it. And now I feel like I'm able to actually do something about it. And I know a lot of you guys feel the same way I do. So thank you so much. All right. So that's the end of the episode. Thank you for being here. We'll see you guys next week. And until then,
stay safe on the path.
All right. See you guys later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Witcher Lorecast. We'd love to hear about your experiences with the games and the books and the TV series and all your thoughts on everything. please check out the Robots Radio Discord and follow us on Twitter at Witcher Lorecast.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.